Second by Mr. Hill. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Agenda is approved. All right, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and we will now pause for a moment of silence. All right, thank you. All right, let's move on to 2.1 Superintendent's Report, Mr. Dupere.
Tonight I wanted to do something a little unique because we've been utilizing this year the strategic framework and everything that we've been doing, and we've been trying to make it a living document. So tonight what I want to do is take this time to kind of do a year-end review of everything that's gone on, but not everything, because as you'll see when we get into some of these slides, you're going to need to bring out a magnifying glass. There's so much on some of them. But I will post this eventually with this script as well. I just thought it was important. I think it's important for our schools to see what they've been doing, or just the central office to what they've been contributing to, the instruction staff, all the way down to parents realizing that, because if you don't talk about it, you often forget that you did it. And I want to go back and look at that, and there may be some comments that are made that were related to this year, that as we sit through Dr. Trosper and Ms. Jennings' reports, as we have in the last couple of months, or whether it be Barry with safety, security, cameras, whatever, as we go through these things, it does change. So I want you to recognize what I'm talking about is what happened in the last 12 months of school. So if we can go ahead and get to the next, or I guess you're going to leave that up. There you go. As we close out the 25-26 academic year, it is my privilege to present a year in review with my monthly superintendent's report. This report will reflect the successes within the 5 strategic goals of Bedford County Public Schools strategic framework. This is more than just a collection of numbers and budget items. It is a reflection of our collective dedication to our core mission, building citizens and promoting success. Over the past 12 months, our division has faced new challenges and achieved new milestones that deserve celebration. Tonight, I want to walk you through our academic highlights, our facility investments, and student achievement that make our division so great. Before we dive into this data, I want to extend a sincere thank you to our incredible educators, support staff, and families. Success in the public school system does not happen in a vacuum. It requires a village. Every clean hallway, every safe bus, every special need met, every breakthrough in classrooms, and every scholarship awarded is a direct result of our community's unyielding support for Bedford County schools. In the next slide, what we want to look at is the support that was built this year in the academic area. Well, not academic area. Let me back up. This is more of accomplishments. You have to sign a lot of certificates. I had to sign a lot of certificates today. This is kind of a highlighting the whole year as we've done this quarterly. What we're going to look at in this slide is the inspiring young adult students that have contributed to this slide. And we'll start with graduation, working backwards. This spring, we proudly celebrated the class of 2026 across Liberty High School, Stanton River, and Jefferson Forest. We sent over 600 graduating seniors into the world. These students are moving on to higher education, technical careers, and military enlistment. Financially, our seniors were highly competitive, earning a cumulative of over $3.8 million in local and institutional scholarships. We also recognize numerous merit scholarships, full scholarships, high honors, and many other achievements. We have had over 30 students participate in the CTE signing day. These students will either be joining the local workforce or continuing their CTE education in college. This one is one that makes me proud because of my own son's service, but BCPS has had a total of 17 graduates this year enlist in various branches of the military. Academics weren't the only spotlight our seniors had this year. If you follow our social media, you also know that the class of 2026 was full of all district, all regional, and all state participants in athletics. In 3 high schools, there were state participants, qualifiers, and champions. BCPS staff class of 2026 contributed to team titles in all levels. In addition to athletics and academics, the 2026 also earned achievement through theater, FFA, scholarship ball, speech, and others. Their volunteerism, organized blood drives, championed an anti-vaping campaign, food drives, and even a furry friends fundraiser for supplies for animals. While BCPS students shone in 2026 is largely due to the success of our great staff as well. We are blessed to have teachers and staff who are accomplished and have accomplished so much that there are even too many to list on these slides. In the next slide, I want to bring basically the agenda to what I want to talk about tonight. And you'll see that there are the 5 goals listed there. There is an executive that oversees every one of those goals. And I want to be able to talk about the growth or the things that are that have improved or things that we've accomplished in those areas. Slide 3 brings us to our main agenda this evening to guide us forward in the strategic framework. As we move to slide 4, our first strategic pillar is prioritizing high-quality learning and academic excellence. A major highlight here is our preschool expansion, which served nearly 200 3- and 4-year-olds across 9 of our schools this past year. We will continue to expand this program based on a strong community interest and need. Additionally, our commitment to early literacy is paying off. We have seen 3 consecutive years of improved reading scores for our K-8 students on the Virginia Language and Literacy Screening System, or VALS. In the next slide, we'll move on to safety and the learning space. And this really is where we talk about the safety and the ownership of caring for our students and the culture of belonging. We are continuing our vital safety innovations and crisis preparedness in cooperation with our local first responders. This includes regular initiatives like our division-wide practice reunification drills, which ensure that our staff and community partners with full preparedness to keep our students safe in all scenarios. In addition, this year, in partnership with the Bedford County Sheriff's Office, K-9 Deputy Stetson has been a part of the SRO team, expanding routine searches that include nicotine, weapons, and THC. Regarding transportation, we are pleased to inform you that bus cancellations have been reduced by 40% compared to previous years. In the next slide, goal 3, our success focuses on recruiting, retaining, and developing an exemplary workforce. BCPS is proud to offer contracts early to get the best employees. In addition, it is important to note that there was a 90% retention rate in our 2025 school year, and 95% of our classes in Bedford County are now taught by appropriately licensed and endorsed educators who match the class content. We are able to retain and recruit amazing staff due to the support they receive from their supervisors and peers throughout the year. We are lucky to have had opportunities to support almost 100 teachers and staff with tuition costs for endorsement and degrees, as well as expenses associated with iTeach. The HR team provided 3 division-wide professional development days over the past year, which include 68 specialized training sessions. We also released monthly memos to ensure that staff were aware of the upcoming professional development opportunities. In slide 7, we address goal 4, and it focuses on strengthening our connection with families and the community. BCPS continues to partnership with families throughout the county PTA and other groups such as SEAC. We participated in community events such as Touch a Truck, Downtown Trick or Treat, and others to reach families outside the school. A key area of momentum on this ongoing growth is our career and tech ed programs, and by continuing to consider future programs tailored to local workforce needs, we ensure our public industry, and partnerships directly benefit from students' long-term graduation outcomes. And that's one of the things that we will be addressing over the next year is how do we include or grow that CTE program? It's very evident when you talk to business owners or leaders, the need is there for quality staff who come out of that program or out of individual high school programs that can step in and be interns on their companies. In our final framework pillar, Goal 5 ensures that budgets and facilities are optimized to support instruction. Our capital improvement plan is moving forward smoothly, highlighted by the completion of this year's new high school theaters and sidewalk canopy projects at Liberty and Stanton River High Schools. Managing our facilities efficiently ensures that division funds are directed exactly where that matters most toward academic progress and building efficiency. The school nutrition program will finalize the year with a positive number despite a high number of unpaid food charges. Advocacy, part of this particular goal, at the local level saw a collaborative spirit between BCPS school board members and Bedford County board of supervisors and their respective executive teams. Advocacy at the state level continues through involvement in the executive team at state conferences, including legislative updates from SBMA and legislative branch of Virginia Association of School Superintendents and VDOE. And we will continue to spend quality time in those efforts. Slide 9, to close out my report tonight, is called Moving Forward. And this means tackling long-term challenges ahead of us. Capital improvement projects, which you see on the left there, are slated for about a dozen of our campuses which need improvements to their aging buildings. According to the school board's directive in June, we are initiating a comprehensive countywide redistricting study with a third-party vendor. This study will allow us to align boundary lines with enrollment trends and projected growth. It is important that we balance student enrollment while maximizing school facilities for efficiency and effectiveness of our facilities and funding. Also, this will improve transportation efficiency and long-term operational planning. We appreciate the community's support as we go through this process. Looking ahead for 26-27 in the school year, we are pleased to welcome our new principal assignments. Dr. Scott Graham has moved into the position at Forest Middle. Mr. Jacob Rivenbark has moved into the principal position at Liberty Middle. And Mr. Jacob DeCant has moved into the principal position at Bedford Elementary. We are also thrilled about the upcoming 4% plus step pay increase for teachers and support staff, along with retention bonuses for eligible returning contracted employees. We've got much to be proud of in BCPS. We thank you for all of your contributions, and we look forward to another great year. This concludes my report. And as I said, this will be posted, so you'll be able to spend some more time into it. We'll do that over the weekend.
Thank you, Mr. Dupere. Do we have any questions?
Just a clarification, you said that you had reduced bus cancellations, what's that mean?
I'm gonna let him address that because this is his pride and joy.
So when we, in the past and currently, due to the bus driver shortage, when we do not have a substitute, we have to notify parents that we're unable to send that bus to that route that morning. So Mr. Lee and his team have worked tirelessly to really hire more folks behind the wheel and substitutes, and we've reduced that from the previous year 40%, which is a substantial number for the.
If you were in the office and you saw the amount of time that Mr. Lee and Dr. Cornett spent on trying to solve this mystery, you'd understand why he is so proud of this. We all are, because the last call you want to make in the morning is, we don't have a bus for your child. And this has been significantly reduced, so I think.
We're not there yet, but we're
getting there. Yeah, I don't think it'll ever be perfect, but reducing it by the amount they have has been an incredible feat.
That's great.
Anything else, Ms. Burke? Anybody else? Any questions? I'll just thank you for that. It was very informative. I love highlighting where we're at and where we're going. For for goal 3, high quality workforce. There's two numbers there, 90% teacher retention for the 25 school year, and then 95% of the sections taught. Okay. Do we have where
26.
we were in 24 and 23? Are we showing that we're,
We have it all.
okay,
I usually go over that when we start the school year and show you like where we are, how we've improved, everything like that. We did a little bit of that in last month when I went over goal 3 and showing you what our goals were and how we met those goals. But I keep the data year to year to do a comparison, and we've improved every year.
it's hard to build on that, so that's
Yeah.
kudos for that.
Yeah.
so.
And I would say, if you have those types of questions, what I drew this from, and what my staff helped me with, starting with basically Dr. Woodford, all the way down to instructional staff and the executives, was literally going back and looking at the presentations that were done over the last 12 months and drawing out those good points. So if you wanted to get into detail, some of that is listed in those studies.
And we usually do a revamp at the beginning of the year too, when we're ready to start school and we know what positions are filled and all of that.
And it's good to, again, reiterate that highlight for everybody who's watching and everyone else. So
Exactly.
we are improving every
We
year.
are
and this is
improving.
just proving that, so. All right.
I do have one thing.
Oh.
On the CTE, are they all the positions been filled from the people that had left?
No.
No.
We're working on it.
I got you.
We're close. I have a list.
I got you. But people did come and they did apply.
Yes, there's a couple where they're very hard to be certified in certain areas. That there's some complications to, that we're still looking, but it's just a few.
I say, Mr. Holbrook, I went to the Lynchburg Workforce Alliance about a month ago. And one of the most important issues or obstacles that we deal with as a division is how do you take somebody with 40 years of experience and get them through to be able to teach without going and having to complete 18 hours of college credits and having to do all these hoops to jump through. So
Does the state require all that?
Yes.
So what one county did was, because they couldn't get certain people hired, was they went to corporations and said, listen, would you hire them and then send them to the division to teach? And some companies were willing to help until they get this resolved. But my point in this was that VAS represents schools and superintendents all over this division, all over the state. And one of the things they're taking now as a lobbyist is this crisis, because everybody has the problem, to the legislators and say, listen, you gotta reduce this stuff. Because you got, in one particular county, you had a guy with 40 years of experience and he could not get a job teaching. And he had all the certifications necessary, he just couldn't get the state licensure. So it is a problem that's being addressed.
Why couldn't he get it? Just too complicated, didn't have the time?
No, I think there were some, I think it's college credits and those kinds of things.
I got you.
It's also salary. I mean, when
Well, I think
somebody's
that's the
in a
biggest thing.
12-month position, making a really good salary,
Yeah, I think we need to up,
comparatively,
There's
can
some
be.
incentive. Yeah, I mean, you need to up something.
Well, most of these guys tend to come out of retirement to do this. They're retiring and then they come out of retirement to do this. And that's not always the best scenario. I mean, there's young guys out there that know their stuff and
Yeah.
and it'd be great to be able to get them and keep them long-term. Because that's what keeps your CTE programs from waning. You got it for 3 years, then the guy leaves and you don't have it, then you gotta fight for it again. And I know that's discussions that we.
Or they go back to their previous job.
I mean, we have the ability for hard to fill positions to be able to offer stipends if we need to.
I think it just needs to be raised.
There's already hard to fill, there's already stipends for these positions
Okay.
in CTE.
What were you gonna say, Mr. Holtman?
I think it's just way too low on some of them. Okay, the salary to begin with.
Yeah.
Depending on where you're coming from, what you're doing, it's a big cut.
Right.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah,
hard,
kids
it's not
every
necessarily,
day.
there's a quality of life adjustment, but it's like, I still need to pay the
Yeah.
bills, so I get it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, We'll move on to 2.02, 25-26 standards of learning data. Dr. Trosper and Ms. Jennings.
All right, good evening. So I'm joined by Ms. Kelly Jennings. Tonight, we're going to present student achievement data from the 25-26 school year for Bedford County. So over the years, we've tried to compare scores from previous years to get an idea of how our schools are trending. And so this structure does follow that, but the comparison method is just a bit different. So we wanted to start with just some notes on how to kind of interpret the table. So first of all, when you see percentages in the following tables, they are raw pass rates, and sometimes that does change when the support framework is released, but that's where we are right now. Second, this report is going to compare against prior year performances. So the numbers in parentheses are changes from last year's scores and the years before that, not state averages. We just don't have the state averages yet, and so that's why we chose the different indicator. Third, if you see PR, that means CIP percentile ranks. So this tells us where Bedford County stands relative to other school divisions in the CIP consortium. And also something to note, and we'll anxious to share this, but in the 26 comparison set, it's actually quite a bit larger than previous years. So that's something we just have to think about in context. So when we are saying percentile rankings, we're actually comparing to 81 different school divisions, which involves 573 schools and over 441,000 tests that have been given, which is about 10 school divisions more than previous years. And then finally, when we look at scores for students with disabilities, including all testing, this does include the Virginia Alternate Assessment Program, or VAP scores, which Ms. Jennings will talk a little bit more about. So we'll start with the division summary. Overall, our achievement is stable, all the way to slightly positive. And so if you look across the core areas, the overall pass rate is a 77%, which is up 1 from last year. And the average CIP percentile rank is 63, which is actually 5 points higher than previous school years. Than last year. The most notable pass rate movement is in history, which increased by 2 to 72%. Reading, math, and science are stable in pass percentage, while percentile rankings improved across all core content areas. So that means that Bedford County Schools has a stronger relative standing within this consortium than in previous years.
So the preliminary SOL results for students with disabilities reflect encouraging progress across Bedford County Public Schools. Overall performance increased 4 percentage points, and our relative standing among comparable Virginia divisions improved substantially, with a 10-point increase in our average CIP percentile rank. Students with disabilities demonstrated growth in all content areas, with particularly strong gains in writing and history. These results suggest that our ongoing focus on strengthening Tier 1 instruction, inclusive practices, co-teaching, and specially designed instruction is producing positive outcomes for our students.
So we're going to start by looking at the pass rate by tests using a 3-year window as comparison. Again, just a reminder, those in parentheses show a change from the previous school year. So we'll start with English Language Arts. We actually remained pretty stable this year, overall at 79% pass rate. Grade 3 reading improved, and grade 6 reading increased substantially. Grade 5, 7, and 8 dipped a little bit from last year, but EOC, which is the high school, in grade 11, their reading and writing remained steady. In math, just a note before we review that, this is the second year that we've taken the 2023 Math Standards of Learning test. We spent a lot of time talking about that last year. But this is the first year we've used the brand new textbooks that are aligned to the standards. So that presented some unique challenges. But overall, math was pretty stable at 78%. The details are kind of mixed, though. So if you look at Algebra 1, they recovered from a tough year last year to 86%, which is very strong. Grade 3 and grade 6 math improved, but then grade 8 declined pretty sharply. Math 7, we have to remember the participation context, which we've talked about a number of times, so we can certainly, I can answer questions after if you'd like, but not every student in grade 7 takes that assessment, so we just have to keep that in mind. But again, stable with some variety within the subjects. Looking at science, that remained strong overall at 78%. Biology improved. Grade 5 science was stable, and grade 8 science declined from the previous year, but we tend to look at 70% as kind of the benchmark that we strive for. So it's still over that, even with the decline. Looking at history, the spring 2026 test was the first test aligned with the new standards. Typically, as we've talked about, the scores drop that year, but fortunately, overall, our history did increase to 72%. Virginia Studies, World Geography were stable, and then Civics and Economics dipped just a little bit, but overall, with the new tests, we're proud of that.
So students with disabilities continue to demonstrate progress in English, with the overall pass rate increasing to 49%. Notable gains were achieved in grades 3 and 4 reading, as well as continued improvement in grade 6 reading and end-of-course reading. End-of-course writing also showed strong growth, increasing 9 percentage points from the previous year. While performance declined in grades 5 and 8 reading, these results provide valuable information to guide targeted instructional supports and interventions. Overall, the data reflect continued progress in literacy while identifying clear opportunities to strengthen achievement, particularly in the middle grades. Math, students with disabilities demonstrated continued growth in math, with the overall pass rate increasing 3 percentage points from the previous year. Significant gains were achieved in grades 3, 4, 6, and 7, reflecting the positive impact of the targeted instruction. While grade 8 mathematics declined this year, nearing that overall division trend, this area has been identified as a priority for enhanced instructional support and specially designed instruction to improve outcome for students with disabilities. Science remains an area of focus for our students with disabilities. Although our overall pass rate declined slightly this year, we did see continuing encouraging progress in biology, which has improved 16 percentage points over the past 2 years. Our analysis indicates that additional attention is needed in grade 5 and 8, and we'll continue to strengthen that instruction in these grades. History was one of our strongest areas of improvement for students with disabilities, with the overall pass rate increasing 8 percentage points. We saw significant gains in Virginia Studies and World Geography, demonstrating the positive impact of that targeted instructional support I had already mentioned. Civics and Economics and World History 1 remains for continued improvement, but the overall results do reflect progress and encouraging.
All right, so next we're going to look at elementary pass rates by subject and by zone. So these are school level pass rates, and then we have the year-over-year point changes in parentheses for comparison. I did just want to note that subgroup data, we did not show that for these just because some of the small schools, we try to maintain student privacy because it could identify certain kids, for example, with disabilities. So it's just overall scores. But looking at elementary reading in the Forest Zone, the ranges go from Boonesboro had an 83% pass rate to New London at 88. This year we saw Forest Elementary improve by 1 point and New London by 4. We saw a slight drop at Boonesboro, a 1 point drop, and then TJ 1, but their scores are strong overall with an 83 and 85. They're still doing quite well. Now in the Liberty Zone, the performance ranges from Bedford Elementary at 58 to Montville at 71. Montville actually grew by 7 points, which we were very proud of, but we did unfortunately see Bedford Elementary and Big Island both drop their reading scores by 5. So those are definitely areas that we have to keep focused on and how we can support them. In the Staten River Zone, this ranges from Stewartsville at a 73 to Manita at an 83. We saw Huddleston increase by 10 points, 76% pass rate, so very happy to see those. Stewartsville increased by 6. We saw Goodview drop by 1 and Manita by 1, but again, they stayed pretty steady, and Manita particularly high, as they have been consistently the past few school years. If you look at math in the Forest Zone, Forest Elementary had an 82, and that goes all the way to Otter River to 92. So the range from 82 to 92. We saw New London increase their pass rate by 5, Otter River by 2. Boonesboro, Forest Elementary both had slight declines, but overall, again, pretty high performance rates. And then TJ held steady at 90. In the Liberty Zone, Bedford Elementary had a 59 all the way to Big Island, which had an 87% pass rate. So Big Island had a 19% increase from the previous school year. And then Montville increased by 7. Looking at Bedford Elementary, we're concerned about the multi-year slide where they did fall by 2 points from last year. So there's a trend that we need to get out front of and try to stop that slide. Looking at the Staten River Zone, the performance ranges from Huddleston at a 65 to Manita at an 85. Goodview actually grew by 6 points. Manita grew by 1, Stewartsville went up by 2, but Huddleston did drop by 9. So a lot of good. We've got one school we're gonna need to keep an eye on with math. Looking over at science in the Forest Zone, the performance ranges from New London at an 84% pass rate to Forest Elementary at a 92%. Boonesboro increased by 11 percentage points. Forest Elementary increased by 1. Otter River increased by 11, and then TJ again held steady at 89. In the Liberty Zone, those range from Bedford Elementary at a 62 to Big Island at 67. Montville again grew by 2 points, so they've shown growth in math, English, and science. Bedford Elementary did drop by 3, and Big Island unfortunately by 14. And then the Stanton River Zone, current performance range from Stewartsville, which is 69, to Goodview at an 86, which is pretty widespread. But if we look at the trends, Huddleston did gain by 16 points, Stewartsville by 11. And then those that declined, Goodview dropped by 5, still high scores. They did really well in the previous year, so they're still keeping an eye on those, but overall pretty good. And then Manita dropped by 19. Again, they peaked last year. The drop is not something we want to see, but they're still kind of over that 70% that we look for. So they're relatively strong. And then now looking at history, going to the Forest Zone, the performance ranges from Forest Elementary at 74 to New London at 91. And then what we saw was Boonesboro actually increased their scores by 13, Otter River by 2, Thomas Jefferson by 6, and then we saw Forest Elementary decline by 8 and New London by 2. Again, still relatively strong, but just kind of looking at the trends for them. In history in the Liberty Zone, the performance range from Bedford Elementary at 53 to Montville at 85. And so Big Island did increase their scores by 9, Montville by 7, but then Bedford Elementary did reduce their scores by 13. And then finally in elementary, looking at the Stanton River Zone, their performance range from Stewartsville at 69% pass rate all the way to Manita at 93. Goodview did grow by 2, Huddleston by 10, and then Stewartsville did take a step back by 10 points. So that's our elementary scores by zone. And so the next section, we're going to look at our secondary pass rates by school and by subject. Note that high school history is not shown because the tested population doesn't really represent history achievement in our division. So we'll start though with English language arts. So looking at that remains a strength overall. JF High School was the highest at 92. Forest Middle was an 86% pass rate. They remained strong. Liberty Middle and Stanton River Middle both came in at 74, and they remain a little bit lower than the other schools. But Stanton River Middle did improve by 2. In secondary math, it's mixed a little bit. Algebra-related high school math improved, especially at Jefferson Forest, which was an 86%. While Liberty Middle and Forest Middle declined by 6 and 4 points respectively. And then Stanton River High at 68% remained the same, below where we want them to see. So they're not really trending up or down, but we'd like to see them increase a bit more this year. And then Stanton River Middle increased by 5, but we still need to monitor that for more growth. Looking at secondary science, we saw gains at Jefferson Forest High School, at Liberty High School, but Liberty Middle actually declined pretty sharply. And so Stanton River High and Stanton River Middle, they both declined by 1. So they're near the benchmark, but we're going to have to monitor them as well. And then finally, secondary history. It's only shown for the middle schools, but Forest Middle at 88% pass rate remained strong. Liberty Middle was at 64%, which took a step back by 6 points, while Stanton River Middle improved, but again, they're close, so we want to continue to monitor them. So just kind of in conclusion, this summer, the instruction and the special ed teams are reviewing data to determine the types of support we want to offer this school year. Each supervisor is carefully reviewing their subject to analyze pass rates for all students and subgroups. They will determine what schools, grades, and teachers will need the most support for next year. Each supervisor is looking at SOL score reports to determine which strand gave students the most trouble. Then they make adjustments to pacing, resources, or any kind of professional development our teachers might need. After creating or looking at the data, we're going to create support plans, and we're going to really try to target schools, departments, grade levels, subjects, whatever it is, to really communicate steps for next year. In our Title I schools, we do have lead teachers that are based at our schools that we are planning to really continue a focus on division collaboration. When we really get our teachers together from other zones to collaboratively plan, we start to see a lot of growth. So we're gonna try to double down and improve that.
And so for students with disabilities, this work will include a deeper analysis of performance by disability subgroups, instructional setting and assessment strands to ensure that specially designed instruction is aligned to each student's greatest areas of need. We'll continue strengthening inclusive practices, co-teaching, evidence-based interventions, while providing that targeted coaching and support to school where achievement gaps remain. Our goal is to ensure every student with a disability has access to high-quality core instruction, individualized supports, and the interventions needed to accelerate their learning.
All right, so just in closing, there are definitely clear areas in need of support, as you've seen. Fortunately, our division overall remains stable to positive. We did see a lot of growth this year, so we're going to continue to prioritize support for schools and zones. And we're going to monitor areas where scores decline, but overall, I think we're in a good place, but there's room to grow. So at this time, we'll be happy to take questions.
Any questions?
I just had a question. I know civics has been, and I've seen this on different social media, that a lot of the kids don't know the first thing about civics. And I don't know that that's the case in Bedford County. I know that the SPED program, you guys had a definite decline in that. Anyway, I had read a lot about the Tuttle twins and how it's just, those are just books, they're fun books for kids to read, and they discuss civics in a much more detailed and fun way to help our students actually learn without even realize they're learning. Do we have access to that? Can we provide those for our schools?
They would probably be in our libraries if we do, and so whenever we look at resources, the first thing we're going to look at is if it's aligned to the standards. And so there's been a lot of changes for our history teachers this year with the new standards. They're quite a bit more rigorous, a lot more information. So we can certainly look at those and just kind of determine the alignment to the standards to see how it might
I
improve
think
our
they're like
scores.
individual books on different subjects, so teachers could just read them to the kids, you know, check them out for whatever topic that they're doing. So can you check and see if they have them in the libraries and make?
I will tell you from this very anecdotally. So this is just my experience with my kids. They have access to that material
At the schools?
at the schools, yep.
Okay.
As far as
At your school, not necessarily every school.
yeah, again, I'm just talking about the two individual classrooms of my kids.
Yeah,
They both have used those resources in either the library or, you know, during independent reading times or that kind of stuff. They have access to those.
So is there a way you can check on
Yeah,
that?
we can check into that to
Is
see
that,
what's
is that
available.
something I have to have consensus just to see? If we can make sure that we get that in every elementary school and make the teachers aware of that resource, because from what I understand, it's a very valuable but also fun learning tool.
Well, thank you for that suggestion.
I just had a quick question about eighth grade, because it kind of caught my eye that there was a lot of decline in almost all of the eighth grade, and they were the largest with math going down 14 points, sped math going down 18. Is there a reason why eighth grade,
Yeah.
almost across the board, has declined?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking into that now, so I don't necessarily have all the answers, but what we do is we're gonna be breaking down the scores kind of by sub-strand, just to find out where were they weakest at, what skills need to be developed, and then we try to walk it back even over to elementary school. I do know that in some schools, we had some newer teachers, which is not always necessarily a bad thing, but sometimes that plays into it. Staff turnover certainly is not helpful in many cases. So I would say that's probably a lot of it. Yeah, it was a tough year for our middle schools. In eighth grade, we had heard a lot about seventh grade was challenging from our schools, so that could have played into it too. But you know, that caught our attention too. So we need to really look into that.
I had one more question I forgot to ask. You know, you're saying that the goal is 70%. but for the sped, what is the goal there?
So when you look at state levels and state pass rates, we're above all of those. Most of the time, I can give you exact numbers for core, but it's usually between that 35 to 40% mark. So we are above the mark. That's usually that state pass rate, but we always want to improve that. I would love to have our students with disabilities move up to that 70% as well.
And are the kids with disabilities, some of them I know have just physical disabilities, but they're intellectually fine, or is this all just intellectual disabilities that you're discussing?
This is all students with all disability categories, so it may be a specific learning disability, it may be other health impairment for ADHD or physical impairment. It is all of our students that have a disability with the range of disability categories.
I think it's interesting the way data can be read. And I tell you why I say that. Ms. Dobson, that was interesting you brought up the 8th grade math, because did you look at 7th grade math last year?
Oh, I did look at all of them, but the decline across the board from all 8th grade subjects.
But I thought it was interesting, 7th grade math last year is 53%. So those kids would be taking the 8th grade test this year. They went to 67%. So, yes, 8th grade looks like it did decline, but the kids, the actual kids that took the tests year over year improved. And so, if you're, comparison's always a thief of joy, right? But if you're comparing yourself to yourself, then that is a really interesting thing. So I think that if we continue to see improvements in that, if we continue to see a 14% improvement, then by senior year, they're going to be doing like 163%. So,
If they don't keep changing the standards.
well, we just need to take them they just need to take that 8th grade test every year.
And just something else to note, remember 8th grade, a lot of those kids are taking algebra or geometry.
Yeah.
So if you really want an idea for how our division is doing in math, that algebra 1, because that's
Algebra 1 was
some 7th, 8th, and 9th graders.
As a father of a girl who took the 6th grade test this year, I was really excited to see the language arts test. She would have taken the test last year, so that was an 80% pass rate. This year, she took the 6th grade test, 83%, and guess what? She did pass. So I'm seeing from the way I analyze the data. And again, I work at a hardware store. I see the way that there's an improvement in the same class grade, and that's kind of encouraging. So, good job.
I actually think that's a pretty good distinction there, and I think that maybe in the presentation, we should do that, because it is the child that's moving up and taking that, yeah. And
We may have had a great class last year. Well, let's see what they did this year, and it looks like, that a lot of the classes that improved, not every category, but a lot of classes that did improve, it's like, oh, we had a bump in this. Well, that's because that was a really good year and they just moved on,
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting.
Anybody statistics or
So I would not consider myself an expert in institutionalized testing. I would consider y'all probably more an expert. Do you see anything in these numbers that have brought you outside of just your normal concerns?
The Liberty Zone, we can't deny, they're not going the way they need to go. They're trending in the wrong direction. That's something we recognized early on, and we have for a few years. So we have done some intensive supports already. Sometimes it takes a while to take hold, so we are continuing to think about how to support those, and we're going to keep a very close eye on the Liberty Zone, really. The elementary specifically, Liberty Middle has been historically very strong. They'd step back a little bit, so we're going to keep an eye on them, but the Liberty Elementary schools are concerned.
And when you say you've been taking intensive, what does that mean?
Yeah, so we actually went to, looking at some of the scores from previous school years, the instruction and special education team and some others, really just kind of embedded ourselves in some of these schools and did an all-day academic review. Those are things that we were not required to do. We used to be, as part of school improvement, you had to do. We weren't required, but we just felt like we needed to get in there. And so that meant that we looked at, we got in classrooms and we looked for issues such as alignment, with the standards. We looked at school climate. Essentially, anything that has to do with student achievement, we evaluated that, and then we made recommendations, which they adopted into their school improvement plans. Those were done January, February, and so they started that process, but those steps are gonna carry into this year, and that's really what we're looking at, is the prioritize actions that we felt like needed to happen to get that school going in the right direction, so.
We've had some leadership changes
We
in
have.
that zone. How is that going to, how are we gonna consistently be able to apply that even with those leadership changes?
Yeah, we're planning meetings right now with some of our, at least my team, and I think you've met with the principals as well. We're gonna go over those steps and just kind of let them know, like, this is where your school was, and this is where we wanna go, and here's the steps. So we do expect those action steps to carry on. At the same time, we wanna give these new principals time to kind of make their own footprint and establish their own leadership. So that's gonna be a balance, but at the same time, I think what we recommended is just things that high achieving schools are doing and what good instruction is. So there should not be any kind of discrepancy between what they want to do and what we're recommending.
Something I did notice, speaking of the Liberty Zone, looking at the Big Island, a couple areas doing, really math was really good, and some areas they dropped down. What would be is there a reason why, math scores were so much improved versus some of the other scores? Because I'm assuming it's the same student population, just taking different tests.
And part of the concern with really all the core subjects in Big Island have been inconsistent. One thing I will say in their defense, in any small school's defense, is one kid counts for a lot. So when we're talking about, I think it was a 19-point swing in math, that might have been 8 kids that improved. Whereas if they dropped, it could have been 7 or 8 kids. That's compared to like a Bedford Elementary that's got a lot more kids. There's a lot more kids would have to cause a significant increase. So we don't get as worried about the huge jump. That's not to say we're not concerned, but I do think sometimes as a small school principal, it's concerning. When I was at Manita, we kind of knew every kid was 2 points. And so if that kid passes, they're going to increase our pass rate by 2 or drop by 2. And that puts a lot of pressure on the teachers. So kid could have a bad day test, and we could have a teacher with a health issue that's out for an extended amount of time. I mean, anything is going to cause a more substantial increase than it might in a larger school. So not to say that we think things are great and we're not concerned, but I think probably disproportionately some of those drops are just to point that out. 19 points is probably not that many kids, if that makes sense.
Sandra?
Have you done an assessment on what's going on with the zone that's causing all of the decline in your academics?
Yeah, we did reviews at most of the schools, and I think if I could just summarize it, it's alignment with the curriculum. You probably get tired of me saying that, but sometimes we think we're helping our kids by, I don't want to say taking it easy on them, but giving them reading material that makes them feel successful. But we've got to challenge our kids, and we've got to have rigorous instruction, and we can't assume that they cannot do it. And that's been a big challenge in that zone, is challenging our students and providing rigorous instruction. So if we can get that trend stopped, we'll be okay.
And I would like to say with their,
I got so excited about scores, my pen exploded.
and I would like to say with our students with disabilities, really concentrating on that specially designed instruction, aligning with that tier 1 instruction too. Like all of that has to work together. We have to have the strong in-classroom tier 1 instruction for them to get the content, but then providing those intervention, that specially designed instruction to support them because they do have a disability and we need to have high expectations as well. So what can we do to make sure we're supporting them appropriately?
Anything else? Will we get updated number? When do we expect state averages?
Oh, boy, I feel like it's,
Next July?
yes, it'll be from August to April. It's hard to say. Did we get our performance reports in April this year or
It's just-
something like that? So
Yeah, that's
hoping August,
tough.
September.
That's tough because it's like you're already trying to make changes and you want to know where you stack
Yeah,
up.
absolutely, yeah. The CIP consortium, I will say, is very helpful.
At least we get.
81 divisions gives us a pretty good idea of where we stand, but it always is good to see how we
Yeah.
stand compared to the
Okay.
state, so no promises, hopefully August, September.
All righty. All right, guys, let's move on to 2.03, end of year financials. Mr. Hagler.
Good evening. We're gonna present some financial data and how we ended the year last year. Just to, little precaution, this is unaudited, so that will happen. Audit's already happening and will can be completed in October. I'll present the audit findings, a report in December probably. So there may be some changes to this as they look over and we can continually review the accounts, but this is the best snapshot we have right now. So. Revenue, we'll talk about the operating fund first. On the revenue side, we ended the year $846,000 more than budget. Two notable things, when you look at other, that was about 464 above budget. Medicare, we get reimbursements for from that for some of our kids and stuff that we file claims with. There's usually one big payment at the end of the year. Last year, that payment usually comes in by the end of June. They sent it to us in July. So last year we had two big payments. They got back on schedule for the current year, but we got one big one in July, one in June. So that'll be corrected going forward. And on the state, it all looks positive, but sometimes, a little bit of details matter. When you look at the state funding at 416 to the good, be mindful that there's over $1 million in there for the bonus that we're gonna pay out in July. So if you were to take that out, we would have ended in the negative on the state there without that money. So any questions on the revenue side? Those are the two biggest things I wanted to make a note on.
Anybody?
But overall, pretty close to budget there. 0.7 would have been even closer without that bonus money there. On the expenditure side, 2.1 million under budget, so that's good. When you put the revenues with the under on the expenditures, you put those together, projected ending balance is about 2.9 million. But then we did receive the money for the bonus, and we have to match that. So we have to take some of our ending balance and set it aside, move it into this year to pay the bonus at the end of July. So we have to take about a little bit over $1 million from the state, almost 500,000 for matching. So our true ending balance, I'm projecting about the $1.4 million. Once we finalize the audit and those numbers are firm, I'll bring recommendations back to the board where we repurpose that money. I imagine some of it will go to the maintenance reserve, but I think some of it's going to go to our health fund. Even though we did have an influx on that, I'll brief on that in a minute. I think we still need to boost that up a little bit, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Any questions on the expenditure side? I will say we did move money around for transportation, expecting the fuel. We got a great bid on the fuel, so I had moved that money ahead of time. So transportation's coming in under because we moved money in there, anticipating a worse result on our bid for fuel, but kind of glad we locked that in right now. Looking pretty good. So, any other questions on the expenditures? All right. This is just a snapshot on there about the operating fund and coming up with the $1.4 million ending balance after deducting for the bonus. Nutrition fund, Mr. DePere mentioned, pretty close to break even, but I will say on this, there are some journal entries not posted, so there's some revenues still to be posted. And there was a large expenditure posted in June for our summer feeding program where the revenues have not matched with that yet. We're still working out the accruals on that. So I'd call the nutrition almost just break even this year. From what we faced in the last 2 years, it's a huge success. Couldn't be more pleased. We are moving on to some other areas that we really need to focus on in nutrition. We had to get the financials kind of taken care of. Hopefully we can continue to stay there so we can kind of move on to some other areas. So well done by the staff there and giving attention to that. Any questions on the nutrition?
Have there been any other changes from with the federal programs to help in this?
They lag behind on the inflation and going up on what your reimbursement, so we're seeing them kind of catch up on that here, but not much in other areas. We will have to deal with an expenditure on, I think this is the last year that we have a waiver on like styrofoam when you're handing out. We're gonna have to go to a more expensive type of, if you don't have a dishwasher and you use some trays and washing it, you can use styrofoam. You can't do that anymore, so we're gonna have to move to a more expensive delivery system. So might inquire from our restaurant expert here, maybe what's the best way to go on that, but, we're gonna have to explore that. We're using up old inventory and we have 1 more year exemption on that, but that will increase the cost, to the operations.
We've done a great job there trimming. You can, at the end of the day, you can only cut so much.
Yep.
So, but that's a massive change. I think it was like $1 million or something.
Yeah. And there's still some more changes that we're putting in place for next year that will hopefully sharpen the pencil even more. I think a little bit more attention to inventory and purchasing on some of the schools where we have lower inventory levels at the end of the year and how they were purchasing helped also. So across the board, I think an excellent job there.
Do we have trays?
What's that?
Do we have any trays?
You'll have to go, it's more of like a paper or cardboard product you're gonna have to go do. It's more expensive than styrofoam, but there's,
So we don't
I think it's state law that came down that we're not allowed to do that anymore, but we've been given a grace period to use down our inventory.
So we don't have any trays from previous years or?
She's asking, do we
Yeah, we
wash
do
them?
have some, but we're gonna start moving into purchasing the more expensive product. The other option is that you have to have the hard trays that can be washed, but then you have to pay a dishwasher to do it. So it's either a disposable or a dishwasher, both have add expenses to the operation. Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, good. I kept on saying, I
So
wanna
you
make
have
sure.
You guys are looking at both,
You've decided to go with the more expensive?
Depends on the school and what we're doing and how we're operating. We still run dishwashers in some, so we're kind of analyzing that, which one would be most cost effective. And I can't answer that right now, but we're looking into that. But
Okay.
there will be some increased cost on that, in addition to the salaries and
Well,
other
we need to be
benefits.
washing them.
What's that?
Well, I thought, so we probably need to be washing them.
It seems
The
like it's a
landfill's full.
healthier option
We
as well.
do wash in most, right, but there are that
Some
have it
that-
on disposable, and on days when you're short staffed,
Right.
you move the dishwasher to the serving line and you're just
Right.
getting through the day.
We're moving away from styrofoam because of government regulation.
Yes,
I
yep,
guess.
yes. I think the private industry's probably had to move out of that a little bit sooner than we
Right.
did.
yes.
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A. Keep it rolling.
Yep. Textbook fund, we're looking in good shape here. I don't think we have any adoption plan for the future year, so that fund will build up over the next few years to our next adoption. But 1.4 million in balance there. Maintenance reserve fund, this is just a snapshot. We'll present more detail on the projects that were done over this summer, after we meet with the facilities committee. Do that probably in August or September, when a lot of the projects are done, to give the whole board an update. This is just a financial snapshot. Ending balance projected at 9.9 million. All that's already committed for projects this summer. So that'll be spent down. The two biggest projects are the HVAC projects, Stan River High School and Liberty High School, that are ongoing alongside the PPA projects for the auditorium and the canopy. So we got a lot going on at those schools. So any questions about maintenance? We will bring back more details about the projects that got done this year. Self-insured health fund. Bottom line, 1.3 million ending balance. That can be a little bit deceiving because that's after the June payroll got deposited, which is about 1.2 million. So you can see we only have about $100,000 left right there at the end of the year. So a lot of that is going to go towards some expenditures that came in June that still had to be paid out. So this is a snapshot in time, not accrual based, and so we have some catching up to do. That's why I would say, even though we're going to get that transfer from the county and how we built the budget, we're probably at zero at the beginning of the year. And so we probably need to move some more money into there to shore up that account long-term and get caught up. So, be happy to answer any questions on that.
You talk about after you get the audit done, you want.
After the audit, it'll be up to the board. I'll make a recommendation. The board of supervisors will have to approve wherever we repurpose that money. Longstanding, we've typically taken it to the maintenance reserve to do projects. There have been times in the past where we've put money into the self-funded health plan. Twice in the past, we've done that. We've taken some of the money and put it in there. This might be a year we might have to do some more.
Okay. On the administrative costs on the self-insured health fund, as a percentage of the overall cost of or the overall contributions or whatever, has that been going up? Has it stayed stable? Is it going down?
I can do a report on that. Anthem really is just, I'd say for the health insurance, dental and vision, we have those administrative costs. That's what that's capturing. The reinsurance, you can see how much that is. That's your protection for catastrophic losses. that's definitely been going up. Because we've been hitting the stop loss limits. So that's been a big hit. I will say in the past 2 years, some of those renewal rates were going up 30 or 40% on the stop loss. This year went up about 8. So that was a great win this year. The administrative, it's been going up a little bit. It's built into the contract. I'll give you some history on that, but the administrative cost is not really what drives this. It's discounts with the hospitals and the doctors and things like that. That's where the big money is. So, but I'll bring that back to the board on that. All right, good question.
All right, it is 6 o'clock, so it would be public comment. I don't have a sheet saying any names.
In your folder.
Is it in the folder? Oh, it's underneath this. Is it? All right. Okay. All right. The public comment portion of tonight's agenda is limited to 40 minutes. Speakers are asked to state their name and voting district. The school board is here to listen to your comments, but will not engage or respond to speakers during this 40-minute period. Please remember that this is a public meeting and that we expect all speakers to refrain from any foul, profane, abusive, or hateful language during their comments or any time while in attendance during this meeting. We also ask that speakers keep their remarks objective and about the school in nature. Please keep all comments limited to matters related to the public schools, and any comments that are harassing or amount to a personal attack against any identifiable individual, whether board member or staff or student, or having the potential to cause unnecessary delay or disruption to this meeting are prohibited. A public meeting for public matters. If a speaker is not present when their name is called, we will proceed with the next name on the list. An individual who has not signed up to speak may not substitute for that time slot. Individuals will have 4 minutes to address the board. An alarm will sound when the individual has 30 seconds remaining, and a second alarm will sound when the allotted 4 minutes have expired. When this second alarm sounds, please discontinue speaking and allow the next person in line to come to the podium. Should you be unable to finish your comments, please send or give them to Mrs. Johnson, and she will give them to board members. Please do not adjust the microphone at the podium, as it has been positioned for optimum audio quality. And with that, nobody has signed up for public comment. Would anybody like to speak? Hearing none, we are gonna close public comment. At first, I was excited I didn't have to read something, but then I had to read it anyway.
Oh, no.
All right, we're gonna go on to recognition. Teams. Would be great.
Hire one of those people like the end of the radio commercial.
Need to do this micro teams, do it
I'm
real
sorry.
fast.
Yeah, look fast. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
This is practice. I think you can get it.
I think you can.
All right, see how fast you guys can time it.
That's wrong. There's master classes, like we do in auctioneering.
Good evening, board members. I'm excited to share with you some fantastic accomplishments over the last quarter of our school year. So we're gonna get started on a good note with Jefferson Forest Wind Symphony. They recently delivered an unforgettable performance at Carnegie Hall as a part of the New York Invitational Music Festival earlier this year. After 3 months of intense preparation, their hard work paid off with an incredible score of 94.5, earning them a gold award, the highest honor of the competition. Their achievement reflects not only their musical excellence, but also their dedication and teamwork. Liberty High School's Key Club brought home some major wins from the Capital District Area Key Club Conference in Washington, D.C. Alex Key was named a distinguished vice president. They took first place in single service, highlighting an incredible, impactful student-led project. Victoria Coles received 2 district awards and 1 international award for her outstanding service as lieutenant governor. Mrs. Boggs was honored as the Dale Q. Larson Outstanding Faculty Advisor of the Year, and Mr. Updike was recognized as the Outstanding Kiwanis Advisor of the Year. So congratulations to them. Our students made some waves in science across the division recently at the RVGS Public Forum and the Central Virginia Regional Science Fair. Congratulations to all of our incredible student researchers who are pictured here. They earned top honors at the Regional Science Fair. We are so proud of these students for their innovation and dedication to scientific discovery. We also had our middle school students show off on their scientific knowledge at the Regional Science Fair, earning honors and advancing among the area's best young researchers. Their hard work, creativity, and dedication made our division proud as they brought home multiple awards and recognition for outstanding projects. Electricity category, we had first place Owen Tucker from Forest Middle School, and second place was the group Mia Penn and Scarlett Nugent from Forest Middle School as well. In our engineering category, first place was Ellen Sand, Forest Middle School, and second place was Dylan Kane, Forest Middle School. And then we had plant sciences category, second place Sophia Sehing from Liberty Middle School, and second place in environmental science category from Stanton River Middle School was Lillian Gardner. Next, we have our Forest Drone Zone competition team. They proudly represented Bedford County at the Northeast Regional Championship at Fairmont State University, competing against top teams from 13 other states. Forest Middle School's team 2455IB, the Vixens, earned the Skills Champion title, and with pilot Leah Tsai tying for the highest piloting score recorded at any regional event in the nation. Jefferson Forest High School's team 24503A, the Average Bobs, placed second and third in skills, while pilot Bennett Litchfield achieved the highest piloting score at any regional event in the United States. These teams also earned multiple top 10 finishes in coding and alliance flying, while being recognized by coaches and judges for their outstanding professionalism and character. Beyond competition, these students logged 60 volunteer hours at the championship and more than 350 community service hours this season. Thank you to the sponsors, teachers, parents, chaperones, and supporters who made the season possible. Bedford County is proud they got to add the 2026 Skills Champion banner alongside the 2025 title. Maybe, there we go. Congratulations to the newest graduates of Susie G's LPN program. Your perseverance and passion for helping others have prepared you for a meaningful career in healthcare. Be proud of all you have accomplished. We look forward to the difference you'll make in the lives of your patients and communities. Next, we have Miss Nicolette Dishman Wilson from New London Academy. She was chosen as a Virginia Lottery Thank a Teacher winner this past May. She was randomly selected as a grand prize winner, receiving $2,500 in cash from the Virginia Lottery and their partners Bright Star Lottery and Neo Pollard Interactive. New London also received $2,500 credit for school supplies from the supply room. So congratulations, Miss Wilson, it is well deserved. Jefferson Forest High School's Cavalier Theater also had a great day at the VHSL State Film Festival. Chris Kolb's Noises Off promo earned Best Commercial in the state, and Cody Beck's Welcome to America captured the State Audience Choice Award in animation. He also placed second in the state in the animation category. Congratulations to these talented students. We are proud of all of our student filmmakers that participated that day. Bedford County Tennis is celebrating an incredible postseason run. Liberty High School's Alex Key put on a spectacular showcase to claim Region 2C tournament runner-up title, while JF's boys team advanced to the regional semifinals as Seminole District champions. Joining them in the regional semifinals was JF's Mallory Marsteller, who made a racket of her own in the girls' single. Fantastic job to Alex, Mallory, and the Cavaliers. BCPS also celebrated a phenomenal ending to the high school softball season. All three of our high school programs had unforgettable spring, extending their seasons all the way to the state stage. All three teams were runner-up for their respective regions and advanced to the state quarterfinals. So thank you to the players, coaches, and families for your dedication, sportsmanship, and for proving that Bedford County softball is truly in a league of its own. Bedford County Schools is incredibly proud of our track and field athletes as well. Stanton River High School's Joshua Jackson captured the Region 3D triple jump title and went on to become the Class 3 state runner-up in both triple jump and long jump. The boys track and field team of Jefferson Forest High School put on a dominant showcase to capture the Seminole District Championship title. And Liberty High School Minutemen absolutely dominated the postseason podium as well, led by the state standouts Shania Brown, she was state runner-up in shot put, third in discus, and dual region champion. And Kylie Stent was third at state in both the 1600 and 3200. Liberty High School also had regional podium finishes and successes from Gary Staples, Owen Nichols, Nikayla Anderson-Thompson, Xavier Jones, Tyler Hill, the girls 4x4, boys 4x100, and boys 4x400 relay teams. So congratulations to your Golden Eagles, Cavaliers, and Minutemen. Undefeated is a good look for the Cavalier community. Both JF boys and girls soccer teams finished their regular season without a single loss, capturing the Seminole District Championship in dominant fashion. The Seminole District also took notice of the incredible leadership and talent driving these programs, handing out some individual honors. Gabby McGee was the Seminole District Player of the Year. Sam Aaron Donato was the Seminole District Goalie of the Year, and Coach Matt Newton was the District Co-Coach of the Year. That was for the girls' team. The boys' team had Coach Scott Zaring as the Seminole District Coach of the Year. So congratulations to both programs. The Cavaliers also dominated the Diamond this spring, claiming the Co-Seminole District Championship before tearing through the postseason to capture the Region 4D Championship title in baseball. They advanced all the way to the VHL Class 4 state semifinals. The district certainly took notice of the talent driving this program, handing out a Seminole District Player of the Year to TJ McLaughlin and Coach Ryan Gillian, the Seminole District Coach of the Year. While their incredible journey came to a close end in the state finals, we are exceptionally proud of this team. Congratulations. As our community gathered this past weekend to celebrate the 4th of July and Independence Day, the milestone of 250 years offered a wonderful opportunity to reflect on the nation's history, our community, and shared values of freedom and unity. We were absolutely thrilled to have the marching bands from all 3 high schools proudly participate earlier in the year when Bedford County held their anniversary parade celebration to kick off these historic festivities. Our FFA chapters traveled to the historic 100th Virginia FFA State Convention to celebrate a century of leadership and agricultural excellence. They brought home some incredible results. Smith Mountain FFA was named a Virginia Superior Chapter, Gold National Chapter, Gold Public Relations, and South Ridge Area Growing Leaders winner. Danny Bradley and Kinsley Bragg were both FFA state degrees, and we had Kinsley Bragg, who was awarded the Farmer Minor and Victoria Pace Minor Scholarship. Students competed at the highest level in agricultural mechanics, hippology, vet science, senior prepared public speaking, and food science competition. Thank you to all of our members and advisors for representing Bedford County so beautifully at this historic milestone event. We are incredibly proud to share that New London Academy has been officially honored by the Virginia House of Delegates. Introduced on June 12, 2026, Delegate Eric Zier, House Resolution 2082 formally commends New London Academy on its historic 230th anniversary. This incredible milestone marks more than 2 centuries of excellence, solidifying its legacy as one of the Commonwealth's most historic and enduring educational institutions. So thank you to Delegate Zier for honoring the school's rich history, and congratulations to the students, staff, families, both past and present, who make New London so special. We also recently got great news celebrating Jefferson Forest High School. They won the VHSL Class 4 National Cup, finishing at the top of the state leaderboard with 250 total points. This latest victory cements a true era of dominance for this school, marking the 3rd cup win in the last 4 seasons and the 5th state cup title since 2018. So congratulations to Dr. Martin and the Cavaliers. Last but certainly not least, to the BCPS retirement class of 2026. Thank you for keeping our division running smoothly, safely, and successfully for many, many years. We were thrilled to host a retirement celebration recently to honor staff. While these photos feature the retirees who were able to join us at that event, we are incredibly proud of all the wonderful individuals who retired across our division. From our dedicated educators to the invaluable support staff in every department, your combined knowledge, expertise, and service have shaped countless lives in Bedford County. You will be greatly missed. Mr. Chairman, this concludes the student and staff recognition for July.
Thank you very much, and congratulations to everybody. All right, we're gonna go to 6.01, the amended budget. Mr. Dupere, Mr. Hagler, and Mr. Hagler, I forgot to say thank you at the end of your last presentation for the financials. Thank you for everything. It's a lot of hard work, and we get a lot of questions from all of us, but we appreciate everything.
Thank you, appreciate it.
This particular action that we bring to you tonight is in reference to finally getting a state budget, I believe, on the last day of June. And it reflects an increase for us of $1,216,894. So that needs to be brought back to be for amended. One of the reasons that that increase happened was because, surprisingly, in the last week, we heard discussions about going to a COLA of 4% as opposed to 3%, which is what most people are prepared for. So I'm gonna turn it over to Mr. Hagler and let him explain that process and also how that money gets awarded and used.
Thank you, Mr. Dupere. It's been a fun year for budget. You know, third try at it is what we're gonna do today, so, you know, it is good news, late, wish it would have been easier for us to implement, for you all to do for the employees, but do appreciate the additional money from the state for our teachers and our workers, the additional 1%. The concern for finance people out there, if everybody doesn't know that, when the state gives money for salary increases, they don't give you the full amount. There's a matching for the positions they recognize, and there's a lot of positions we've reported on that before, where we pay 100%. So with the money that came from the state, you get that extra percent, and then like the county's all settled, our amount from the county, so where does the money come from to do the matching? So every board's having to deal with that right now. I think the state was aware of that, so there was additional money from the state, just not for the 1%. Additional 1%, we built our budget off 3, communicated 2 to our employees, because we weren't sure if we were gonna get 2 or 3, and then we got 4. So, they did give us money in other buckets that are not tied to anything. It's like per pupil, that's kind of like, you can use it for whatever you want. And so that allows us to really move up to the 4%. Use the money they're giving us for the 1% increase, but that other untethered money to do the matching to get the 1%. So we don't have to request anything from the board of supervisors to get this over the line. So that's a good thing. Thank you, state. Wish it would have been sooner. But very confusing for employees and everybody, and a lot of stress on everybody, like what's going to happen with this. So I'll go a little bit over this. The additional 1% is going to cost us about $850,000 of the 1.2 million we got from the state. So, and we can use the money that they gave us to kind of use that for other things, and our matching funds can do that. Outside of that, there's you know, if you look at it, there's 2 other lines in my document that I'm on there that shows the changes in blue. About another $366,000 that we did not need for that 1%. So executive staff and Mr. DePere is recommending that 2 things be done with that. One is, in our original budget, we added in-school suspension positions to the zones. We only had 2 of those in the original budget. Staff would like to add another one, so we have 1 per zone, and spread that out. And the other one is, we are doing a redistricting right now, but we do, and we presented earlier this year on the difficulty of our staffing standards on small schools. The kids just don't come in nice, clean buckets. And so you have difficulty when you get into very large class sizes, some 28, 29, 30 in an elementary school. And so that adds stress. Now, we had reduced those reserve positions that we had in the past by 4 going into the year. We're kind of nervous about that. It was probably 1 year too soon, because we are doing a redistricting to try to level that out and fix that. But your small schools are still small, and we're looking, you know, the numbers that come in, they just don't come in clean packages. So staff is asking and recommending that additional money be put aside for that if we need to this year. If we don't need it, we won't spend it. And then in a future year, if we do redistricting and we level things off, hopefully that money can be given up for, you know, reversion or something in the future. So that's a recommendation. We'll be happy to, it's kind of simple. Those are just 3 expenditure buckets and 1 revenue bucket. And staff is ready to answer any questions you may have in regards to this.
Do you have any questions on this side?
I do. So $360,000 that we're basically gonna have left over. Am I getting that number correct?
Additional state money that you can allocate,
We can, yeah.
you can use, yes.
It's money that's like, we didn't know what to spend it on, so we're gonna find something to spend it on.
And that's after the 4%, correct?
Right.
That's after using some of the state money to get from 3 to 4, yes, sir.
Okay. We just had a presentation, previously where we said we don't have any money in our healthcare fund. And we're gonna talk about moving money from, potentially moving money from leftover to that fund. And then we're also talking about, we have maintenance reserve projects that we're not gonna have money for because we got reversion happening. I'm just curious, if we've already budgeted everything for 2 ISS positions and we have class sizes and everything else, why do we feel that we need to hire more staff? And isn't it just a one-time deal? Like, we hire the staff, will we be able to support them next year?
Well, Staffing always depends on the staffing standard, right? These are positions that the staffing standard just can't anticipate sometimes larger class sizes. I mean, we give so many teachers per student at a school. But you might have one class that has 15 kids and one class has 28. And you get 2 teachers, so what are you gonna do? And that's where the balancing comes out. You'd like to target in elementary, our target is around 21 to 22, 23, that's where we're hoping to get it. But when they come in the smaller schools, I think the larger schools, it kind of balances out, it's not as big a deal. When you get in the smaller schools, they just don't come in clean packages, so if you get 7 teachers, which grade level you can put the extra one in? You get 1 through 6.
A 14, a 33, and a 28, you know what I mean?
Yeah, when you look at, they just come awkward. I will say in the past, we traditionally have had 7 like positions set aside to deal with these things. We've never always used 7. They're sitting there in reserve, and on the executive level, we're watching the numbers, and we just don't willy-nilly just use all the money. There are times where if everything's looking good, we're not allotting them out. Some years we've used 3 of them. Some years we used 5 of them. But with the unknown of what's going to be happening with our ADM, that's recognition from executive staff. It won't be used unless there's some really.
So it's just kind of stored in the operating fund, basically.
It would be, and I would say, from the board and other people that are listening, you're looking at doing this for 1 year. If redistricting kind of levels things off and we don't have as much problem with that, I would say in the future year, you could go back and reduce the amount of positions we have in reserve. We have 3 right now in the current budget. This would add another 4 to let us maneuver and get through this year.
So you have
That's
7
right now, yes. And we used to have 7. We went down to balance this year's budget. Maybe before redistricting, that was premature, but we're just bringing you the concern from the executive staff. If not, then there will be classes of 28 or 29 or 30. I'm pretty sure there will be. And we'll just have to be okay with that.
I usually let other people, but I don't want to forget this. And we'll go back and keep asking questions. So we could amend this and say this 326, we can hold it, and then when we get our ADM and after the September meeting, if we feel like we need it, we can move it towards that, or move it somewhere else, because you said this is gonna be 4 positions?
This
4
was-
positions for $326,000, $82,000 a person.
Well, it's salary plus benefits,
Can I,
so it's about,
And all in for a teacher estimated right around the 80,000 mark.
Okay,
With-
and I will go back and say, when it comes to contracts, and I know people know, but I want in the contracts to show what their salary is and then the cost of the benefits that are there. That's a decent amount of money, $80,000 a year. Any other questions or comments before as we tackle this thing?
I like small class sizes. And I think that is a good use of the money. But I do want to be aware that there are other uses that we really gotta tackle, and it's scary. Another good use of money is making sure our people don't die on an operating table. I mean, healthcare is a growing expense. $2.5 million last year, we're even this year. Basically $100,000 by the time you pay everything out. That's a scary number, guys. And the board of supervisors was kind enough to help us out. I don't know if that's gonna happen again, so
Well,
that's the only
Yeah, I
concern
want
I
to make sure
have.
we don't go over there and have to do that again, so we really need to watch that. If the reserves continue to go down, then we gotta go higher on our renewal rate next year, or, get some money in there and stuff. So I'll keep, that's a big concern for me this year. That's something I want to keep an eye on. And,
But I also don't like a class size of, 29 kids. So, I mean, we gotta do what we gotta do, but
we can't
It
promise
is.
that that's gonna happen, but if we don't have any money in the budget to deal with it, if it happens,
Right.
then it is what it is.
so.
This would give us that lever to do that. If
Gives
it
us a-
materializes, if it doesn't
gives us a
materialize,
rainy day.
we're not gonna allot out a teaching position when the class sizes are 21 or 22, right, and go down to 12. It's really meant for those really awkward ones, and where we see difficulty and a lot of stress, so.
And it can be carried over if we don't use it.
What it would do is if we don't use this, just like I reported, we're gonna have 1.4 in ending balance. It would be in our ending balance to reappropriate next year.
We'll make sure.
And when I go to build the budget next year, it'll be a discussion, do we keep 7 or we go to 4, do we 5, do we have none?
Or do we?
Each year has to balance itself, so if we've got difficulties in the future, this may be one of the cuts or something else, so each year is unto itself.
Can I just throw something out? I just wanna recognize that 1.3 that we had in surplus this year. That is because I feel like we try to be very thrifty all year, knowing that if we have surplus, we can then put it to those big needs. One of the things that my instruction team and student support, and we have tried really hard not to put a strain on the budget, because we knew there were concerns with healthcare. We knew we wanted to give teachers raises. But we've also been talking about the fact that we are having behavioral challenges in our classrooms. You saw that we have some concerns with our academics that we're diligently working on. So the two things that we requested, that assistance with a third in-school suspension person to help us with behavior, so we would have at least one in every zone. And these positions to assist us. I know several of you were on the board when we had that class of 28 at Otter River a few years ago, and it was very difficult, and we were trying to decide, the longer we wait, the less talent and opportunity we have to hire really, really great teachers. So I just want to say, we try really hard to be fiscally responsible. So we do have that extra at the end of the year like we have this year. So I can say we think hard about how we spend that. So the two things we asked for were actually in our original budget request we brought to the executive team, but we cut before you ever saw it because we knew we needed to put money into the health and to the increase. So I think we just saw this as an opportunity to give some of that support back to our teachers at the school level this time.
We ended up with 2 ISS, but we originally started with a 4 or 5.
We actually asked for one for every elementary school was our goal.
Was the original. And then we cut it down
I
to.
feel like I've cut a lot.
And then we cut it down to the schools that had the most
Teacher
need. And then we cut it down to 2. So that doesn't even give us 1 for each zone.
Any other questions or comments?
So I'm gonna, kind of echo a little bit of what Jordan said. I don't think anyone's gonna make the argument that additional staff, smaller class sizes, I think that's a good use of funds. I don't think that argument's gonna be made. I do share the concern though, that, we've got, money to reappropriate this year. The talk is, let's put it into, our insurance fund, which I think is a wise move. But that still leaves our maintenance reserve fund in 2 years to be depleted. So, saying all of that, I'm not saying that the right answer is even to put it in the maintenance reserve fund, but it is something I at least want us to have that conversation of, in 2 years, it's depleted. That maintenance reserve fund is depleted. And we've got, schools are not getting any younger. We're not building anything new right now. We're doing, good repairs. We're doing good HVAC repairs and replacing things. Things are going to continue to break. So I just want to make that mention of, yes, I don't think this is a bad use of funds. But also, the other side of the coin is, it's a zero-sum game. Whatever we spend with additional teachers, we're not spending on the school buildings themselves.
I'll add to that this is not like a permanent change to the staffing standard. So, when you get to next year's budget, this will be a budget discussion of whether you support this or not, and it'll depend on the revenues. I'll piggyback on that with, when reversion's over and the money that's going in there for us to pay for some of these projects with cash right now, borrowing, which is wonderful. We are updating a lot, but then we're gonna have to continue that long term. That's one facet of reversion or ending that we're gonna have to deal with. The other one is that the reoccurring money there's a gap right now in what we're setting aside that we can shift over to operating for that gap. So that's gonna have to be dealt with. And, there's always, increases in salary, changes to different things that add costs to your bottom line. So I think Dr. Woodford brought something I think it was in January or something, where we were saying the staffing standards right now for the small schools kind of don't work. And this is evident of that. But without more revenue or some changes or something, that's gonna get more difficult in the future because we got all these other things. You're exactly right. So I think for this year, with this money that's available, this can be handled, but in future years, that might not be able to be a support. And it is a reoccurring stream from the state, so it's reoccurring money that can be put to something else.
I think it's important to, when you read what Randy's put in here next to that, 326,617, reserve positions to use as needed for large classes. We started having discussions about what those class size look like today, and asking principals to go back through and make the phone calls to people who haven't registered yet. Go through Power School and make your account. Let's get it right, because we don't have it where it should be right now. It's still a little bit early, but though we'd like to solve it yesterday. So when that all pans out, if we need it for a position or whatever, it's there. If we don't need it, then it can go to healthcare, it can go to maintenance reserve, it can go to a lot of different places. But we're just asking, when numbers are unsure in early July, that if we have the discretion, it's there. And of course, we're not gonna do it without you knowing about it, but that's the purpose for that request.
Dr. Woodford, I know we had talked previously, and now we just were talking about one specific elementary school. Is it pretty standard of July 15th comes next week or so? Pretty much within a few percentage points, you're gonna be locked in at where we're gonna be at. Is that pretty accurate?
Randy can speak to the trends. We sometimes see during that week before school starts, in the first few days of school, if we have students who are moving out of the district, a lot of times you can't take them out of your system until they register at another school. So we can most of the time predict what's coming to us because we've heard from those parents, we know our kindergartners, things like that. I think what's a little bit harder is if we don't know if students are moving out of the school division. So it's harder to make those bigger plans in a small school. I mean, we were looking at numbers today of 28, 29, calling principals to say, do you know if kids moving? Give us more accurate numbers. So we try our best to lock down all school transfers and non-resident, and we try our best to lock down and get our kindergartners registered, but it's a little hard to control what leaves us. So I don't know, Randy, if you want to speak to that. We talked a little
I'd
bit
say the
about.
executive staff will meet every week. We'll pull numbers from our student information system. We made phone calls today because we want to make sure we're working with accurate numbers. Some things have not been pushed through. They know of people. What part of that trend is, I look at trends from we start tracking this week. What is it next week? And I'm saying, are we picking up? Are we going down? I do know from the last 2 or 3 years, going into the first day of school, I look at the numbers the day before school starts. By the 10th day of school, we usually have dropped about 150 from that day. So that means, those are withdrawals we don't know about that are gonna happen, so.
And a lot of those are middle and high.
Middle and high
have
that are
a little
dropping out,
bit
yeah.
more.
So I do know going in, if the trend is consistent, if we're right on budget the day before, I'm kind of nervous. If we're up 150, 200, I'm going, I feel a little bit better. So, but each year's unique unto itself. It might not be that big, but I look at trend analysis to kind of make predictions for Dr. Woodford and Dr. Calvert to make decisions right now. Because we're looking at money and how that impact would be. 150 kids would be $1.5 million less from the state. So we need to know that and know what the school's going through. So we're very careful because we don't know right now. So we're making calls. It's too early to report on our numbers right at this point. Maybe in 2 weeks we'll have that a better idea on that. And definitely when we get to August, we'll have brief the board, and in that first 10 days, we're really watching it closely. Hope that helps.
You move over here. Spurs. Thompson.
I will say if this is approved by the board tonight, this will have to go to the Board of Supervisors on the 28th of July for their approval because they have to, they're the appropriated body. So that'll be
Mr. Hagler, do you need the amounts read again at the motion again?
Yes, if someone could, there is a sheet, the revenue sheet, and I would read each of the, I can give this one to make, somebody wants to make revenue. It's in there, but I can hand it. Each of the funds and then the total amount and, of the amended budget.
I think also separately from this, because grateful that we got more in the budget, right? And so nobody's arguing with that, but kind of the way that it was handled was everyone was waiting with bated breath for a very long time. This does still come down to like how the state recognizes SOQ positions. And I would assume that every division faces the same, pretty much will face the same challenge. I don't know if it affects smaller divisions more. But I assume that the people you talk to, Mr. Hagler, they all seem to face the same challenges with the SOQ. Okay. I think that we may, as a board, should consider like a resolution to the state, whoever, about recognition of SOQ positions. And just say, look, it makes it really, really difficult. You've talked about this for a while, where you need some action. It's gonna help every school division. It's gonna help budgeting and take a lot of pressure off, so. I don't know if it'll do anything, but at least we're saying this is ridiculous. So, and not everybody's been there that have done this, and some people are new. It's like, oh, maybe they didn't know that this is an issue. We want to make sure that they know it's an issue. But with that, I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the amended budget. I got to read the amendment.
Just the 4 amounts.
Okay, you have to read the amount.
Some have this.
I have to read the one.
You have to read the amount.
Just total operating fund, total maintenance project, total textbook, total nutrition, and the
Just the
total amount
totals?
of the amended.
Okay,
It's the third column.
so I'm, sorry, did you say third what?
Third column over.
I think you and I are on the wrong.
Oh, it's sideways.
Yes, it was.
There you go.
Here, you just want to hand it
It
over?
can be flipped in board docs, you can,
Yeah, we got
you can rotate it.
Yeah, I
and
flipped
this
it, I flipped it, okay.
But it might be easier on
Is it
this.
this one? I flipped it, okay.
You want to scratch it.
Okay, so I move that we accept the amended budget for the total operating fund of $129,520,425. The total school maintenance projects for $7,689,650. The total textbook fund, $1,205,642. And the total nutrition fund for $5,339,040. And the grand total of the whole thing, $143,754,757.
I have a motion by Mrs. Purvis. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Holbrook. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Guys have it, motion passes.
Thank you.
All right. Move on to 7.01. Do I have a motion to go into closed session?
Mr. Chairman, I move that pursuant to Code of Virginia 2.23711A1 for discussion, consideration, or interviews of prospective candidates for employment, assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation of specific employees of Bedford County Public Schools, that we move into closed session.
I have a motion by Dr. Hubach. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Carnes. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? We're in closed session. So moved. I have a motion by Dr. Dubak, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Carnes. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ms. Johnson?
Whereas the Bedford County School Board has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. And where section 2.2-3712D of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by this school board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Bedford County School Board hereby certifies that, to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification applies, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yeah, thank you.
All right. 8, on our list, approval of the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent?
I have a question. On the last one,
I guess you can answer the question.
What is, I'm sorry, Ms. Purvis, what is the question? Something on the consent
the
agenda?
last one on the consent
Oh, I
agenda.
thought you meant on the last thing that we did.
Oh, the consent agenda.
Okay.
I won't read the name, but there is a person who's requesting, I guess, to take a GED. Is that, how old is that person?
It's released from compulsory education, 17.
She's 17. Okay, just wondered. Thank you.
Do you have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Holbrook. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Carnes. Any discussion? All those in favor signify, oh wait. Yeah, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda is approved. 9.01 matters from the board. We'll start with Mr. Carnes.
I don't have a lot of matters for the school board. I think that this has been a pretty easy process so far. A couple things I am a little concerned about is, going forward, we're gonna be looking for a lot of input from the community, specifically probably from PTA and other people, so that we can get feedback from our community on this process of, redoing our district, you know, and what that's gonna look like. And so, I would just encourage people that are maybe watching this or, you know, our 4 audience members to reach out and make sure that we have people in our communities, you know, bringing our phones and send us emails and letting us know what they think, showing up to town halls and making sure that their voices are heard, because we make decisions based off of what we hear. And if we don't hear anything, then we're making decisions in a vacuum. The other thing I would also be encouraged is anybody on the Board of Supervisors who is curious about our budget. I'm on the Budget Committee, Mr. Hill is on the Budget Committee. We will talk to any member of the Board of Supervisors about our budget. There's been concerns that we're wasting money. I'm a pretty smart guy, but if I'm wasting money, I want you to tell me where I'm wasting it. So let me show you our budget. Let me, and we can work together. Maybe we are. Maybe it's something I'm just don't understand, but I don't think we're wasting money in our budget. So anybody that's from the Board of Supervisors, if you want to talk to me, you know, give me a call, give me an email. I'll be happy to sit down and break bread with you. But that's the only thing I have as a concern.
Mr. Carnes, Mr. Holbrook? All good?
I'm good.
All right. Mr. Hill?
I wanted to give an update from Facilities Committee. You know, this is when we get a lot of our larger projects done. So both the Stanton River High School and Liberty High School Auditorium are kind of in the punch list phase, which in the construction world, it's at the very end. We're at the very end of those projects. The Stanton River work will be completed this summer for the HVAC design and roofing projects. We're also, you know, some of the things we're cleaning up this summer, the New London Academy flooring project. That is pretty much done at this phase. I think they're moving on to cleaning and putting furniture in. The Huddleston Elementary paving project is complete. They still need to stripe it, but it's been completed. Stewartsville and Otter River wastewater treatment plant upgrades, these were DEQ mandated projects. If we own the property, we've got to do it. And so they're about 90% complete on that project. And then Bedford Elementary School is finished on their painting project there. So been a busy summer, just I think Mr. Hagler and his staff, Sheldon and Taylor, they've been really getting after it, making sure all these projects are gonna get completed in a timely fashion for us.
Anything else?
That's all I've got.
Thank you very much.
A couple things. One is thank you for all the facility stuff you guys are doing. It's gotta be challenging to try to get it all done in summer, especially with storms and all the things that we're dealing with, so, anyway, thank you for that. And I was really impressed tonight about all of the different sporting, teams and all of how well Bedford County has performed in so many different areas. We are just really blessed with some really talented kids and great coaches that are pushing them beyond their maybe limits and times. So I just want to thank all of the coaches who spent all that time on those kids, investing in their community. And it's, I mean, let's face it, it's pretty much volunteer, even though they might get a little stipend. It's a lot of hours. And I did get to go and visit the club that the drone club that they had this summer. That's just incredibly impressive, all the things that they're doing, and it's showing by winning all the national stuff. That's crazy. So hats off to Cindy. Actually, Cindy Watson pretty much does. She spearheads all of the grants and everything that it takes to get all that stuff. So anyway, hats off to Cindy Watson, Miss Watson. So anyway, it's been a privilege to be a board member for Bedford County. And whenever I go anywhere else, I'm very proud of the fact that I live in Bedford County. So.
Ms. Thompson? You, Bob. All right, it's up to me. I just want to thank everybody on this board and the staff, everybody who got together with the folks that are going to be heading up the redistricting project. You know, you guys evaluated a ton of folks and everybody seemed to be pretty happy with the decision. And they're going to be providing updates along the way. And as Mr. Karn said, it is pretty darn important that we get feedback on that. And we're going to listen to all the feedback. Doesn't mean we can implement that, but if you're telling us, we're going to make sure that the folks that are doing this understand those concerns too and take all that into consideration. Our job is, you know, to educate, but our job is to provide information, and sometimes that information is things that people in the community want to hear. Sometimes it's things they might not want to hear, but it's our job, it's our duty to make sure that we do provide that information and be that sounding board and give an explanation of why. I think that's also a very important thing too, is to give the reason why. So with that, that next board meeting, schools, it's right around the corner. It's hard to believe. Exactly right. Hopefully the heat wave breaks, we get a little rain where it's needed at night when everybody's home sleeping, hopefully. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have. Thank you for everybody here. Enjoy the rest of the summer and be ready to come back to school and hit it pretty hard in August. So with that, do I have a motion to adjourn? So moved. Mr. Holbrook on the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Carnes. Any discussion? No as usual. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? We're adjourned.